The ability to communicate clearly is a key function for all people. Being able to communicate effectively in an individual's first home language connects a person to their ethnic group and helps to shape a person's identity. The Aboriginal cultures of Australia are the oldest living cultural history in the world, dating back up to 65,000 years. The key to their survival was a close-knit community where everyone cared about the well-being of each other. Language is an integral element of this culture. Around 200 years ago, there were over 250 Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander language groups in Australia. Today, around only 120 Aboriginal languages are still spoken, and many are at risk of being lost. Language provides a connection to culture, stories, spiritualities, rites, ceremonies, and the land. Each language is associated with an area of land and has a deep spiritual significance. Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander languages are not just a means of communication. They express cultural knowledge passed down through songlines and spoken stories about everything: law, geography, history, family, and human relationships, religion, childcare, healthcare, caring for country, and basic survival. Cultural knowledge, kinship, songlines, and stories are reliant on language for these important cultural elements to be passed on from generation to generation. It is through language that Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people maintain their connection with their ancestors, land, and law. Traditionally, Aboriginal people use songlines and stories in their own language to pass down the law and Dreamtime stories that are the foundations of their cultural beliefs. Over time, the breakdown of language and culture can lead to loss of culture and loss of identity. Aboriginal people had a complex cultural system long before the establishment of colonial settlements in Australia. They lived and were supported by Aboriginal law. This law gave them protection, security, and shaped their culture that has evolved over millions of years. It defined acceptable behaviour and helped to manage unacceptable behaviour. Justice-related issues were handled by the elders. It was reinforced and passed on through generations, through songs, stories, and dance, and it governed all aspects of traditional life. Today, Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people face a variety of issues, including health problems, unemployment, homelessness, poverty, drug and alcohol, mental illness, suicide, and family violence. These complex issues can effectively be communicated with a broad brushstroke approach. Recent studies have shown positive associations between language use, well-being, and socio-economic variables. Communicating in language with Aboriginal people empowers them, gives them a sense of belonging, and helps them to clearly understand policies and procedures, particularly in areas such as the criminal justice system, so they can understand the impacts of their actions. Difficulties involved in communicating with Aboriginal and multilingual audiences are well documented. Because Aboriginal languages were traditionally only spoken, it makes sense that audio is the key to the communication gap. OneTalk talking products are the first set of integrated tools of its kind in Australia. And only through experience and direct consultation with elders of Aboriginal communities, OneTalk was able to develop a better understanding of language, cultural sensitivities, and communication issues in regional and remote areas across the Northern Territory. OneTalk products can reach a specific demographic within a regional or remote community just by their placement. OneTalk products are the only way to effectively deliver a controlled message in language by the press of a button. Working with interpreters ensures that messages are culturally appropriate and understood in the correct context in Aboriginal communities. Preserving language keeps communities and Aboriginal people strong. It provides an important lifeline to their ancient past, and in doing so, provides a source of strength and inspiration for present and future generations.